Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Bache, today we will begin with chapter 7 of Ramesh Singh and chapter का नाम है Inflation and Business Cycles. Inflation and Business Cycle. ठीक है. अच्छा, for any layman, हाँ, अगर हम किसी इंसान से पूछे कि what is inflation, what will that person go ahead and say? Increase in price is called as inflation. Of course, that is true. उसमें कुछ गलत नहीं है, right? But when price of any essential item increases, माने जब भी there will be increase in price of things like salt, things like sugar, like onion, those are essential items, like medicines. हाँ, तो ये बहुत ही political issue हो जाता है, right? It's not just increase in price. It means that people can even lose election, ठीक है? And it has happened in the past. बहुत बारी पास्ट में गवर्नमेंट अपने इलेक्शन सिर्फ इसलिए हारी है क्योंकि देयर हैज बीन एन इंक्रीज इन द प्राइस लेवल. व्हेनेवर देयर हैज बीन एन इंक्रीज इन प्राइस, इट इज व्हेन द गवर्नमेंट्स हैव लॉस्ट कंप्लीट इलेक्शंस ओवर इट. ठीक है. तो इन्फ्लेशन कैन इन्फ्लुएंस द वोटर बिहेवियर. इन्फ्लेशन ये बता सकता है कि वोटर्स क्या आपके प्रो में वोट करेंगे या आपके अगेंस्ट वोट करेंगे, राइट? एंड दिस चैप्टर देयरफॉर जो हम ये वाला चैप्टर पढ़ेंगे, इट इज गोइंग टू एग्जामिन इन्फ्लेशन फ्रॉम वेरियस इकोनॉमिक पर्सपेक्टिव. सिर्फ ये नहीं जानेंगे कि increase in price is called inflation. Of course, we know that. But हम जानेंगे कि what are the different kind of inflations and how the inflation goes ahead and affects the economy. Inflation economy को कैसे फर्क पड़ता है, कैसे affect करता है, we are going to also go ahead and talk about that in this chapter. Is it clear? ठीक है बेटा. So let's begin with the chapter. So write down. To any common person, inflation means rise in prices. When price of essential commodity increase, it becomes a major political issue. Especially in developing countries like India. Especially in developing countries like India. ये देखा गया है पास्ट में that the governments in India have lost their election just due to inflation. ठीक है. Even in developed countries, inflation influences voter behavior, though differently. ठीक है. So now we will go ahead and we will be talking about inflation from various economic perspective. ठीक है. So what is inflation, beta? Rise in the general price level of goods and services. Whenever the price of goods and service increase, जब भी goods और service का price बढ़ता है, तो उस upward trend को we call that as inflation. ठीक है. Now, inflation should not be over one or two goods. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि you know, you just look at price of coffee, or price of coffee increase ho gaya hai, probably, some XYZ company or your favorite cafe, they increased the price of coffee and usko aapne inflation bol diya. That should not happen. Inflation is something which should be broad based as price increases, right? So it is not inflation if only the price of few goods increase, right? It must be broad-based price increase. It must be a broad-based price increase, right? माने हर good में overall we should see an increase in the price. Similarly, the opposite of inflation is called deflation. So deflation is the opposite of inflation, right? It is fall in general price level. So when the price level falls, that becomes your deflation. Is it making some sense? Okay, so let's write down what deflation is then. So write down. देखो, ध्यान से देखना, हाँ. I am taking time period T here. I am taking price here. When beta I do something like this, you see, price increased, decreased, increased, decreased, increased, decreased, but I see an upward trend. So this is inflation, right? Similarly, this is time period T. This is price. Price increased, decreased, increased, decreased. It can increase or decrease over time. But overall, I see a downward trend. So this is deflation. So what trend I see, that will go ahead and that will determine whether we are talking about inflation or deflation in the economy. ये बात समझ में आती है, what is inflation or deflation, right? अब in modern economics, we say something called as rise in inflation. And we say something called as rise in or fall in inflation. Rise in inflation means faster price increases. माने price increase तो हो रहा है, so price is increasing at an increasing rate, right? And fall in inflation means slower price increase. Price increasing at a decreasing rate. So price is not falling. It is just, it may not necessarily fall. Fall bhi kar sakta hai. Fall in inflation can also mean falling prices. But fall in inflation can also mean that prices are increasing but at a decreasing rate. Okay. Okay. Now, whenever the price is very high, governments can pursue something which is known as deflationary policy. Right? Deflationary policy is what? Raising taxes or interest rate to curb inflation and reduce import. So somehow I don't want things from outside. I want to improve my balance of payment and I want to bring policies to reduce inflation. Then that is called as a deflationary policy. Is it clear? Okay, beta.